I am in the West Baden Resort and Hotel. It's Baden, I keep saying Baden. But I am here with Marjorie Liu, who wrote the book The Wild Road, part of the Dirk and Steele series, which is part of it takes place in the West Baden Hotel and Resort.
This is true.
Which, walking in this place is crazy. It sort of just embodies fantasy. So I can definitely see how a fantasy book would take place here. And why West Baden in particular? How?
For the same reason that you just said. Actually, when you come in here, it has a very it does have a little bit of a magical feel. It's very you're driving through southern Indiana, and all of a sudden you come across this this beautiful dome with these beautiful gardens, and you come in and it's just the idea of this finding something unexpected. Is something that I like to explore in my books, and so it just felt natural to set a story here. And also, I don't know, it's a beautiful place, and I want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk a little bit about the hero, a gargoyle. Mm-hmm. And you were talking earlier that you want to return and write more gargoyles.
That's my hope. We'll see what happens. I know that the hero of The Wild Road, Lannis, he does show up in Eddie's book, which is coming out this fall, and that's called Within the Flames. And Lannis and Leith, they have a very important role to play, and their lives change dramatically within the course of the novel. So I hope if you're a fan of The Wild Road, you should definitely check out that book to see what happens to them.
And then Leith isn't the typical heroine. You did sort of an amnesia story, except mm-hmm. that her memories have been ripped out. It hasn't been anything from trauma, not, physical trauma.
Right.
And she can't really get them back. So how did you come up with that idea of lost memories that are just absolutely no hope of ever her getting them back?
Well, actually, I didn't set out to write a book like that. I had the first line in my head, or the first scene, which was basically a woman waking up in a hotel room that's on fire, and she doesn't know what's going on. She just feels lost and disoriented. And then I was writing it, and I said, oh, well, she just doesn't remember. And so I just followed that line of thought, and I kept writing and writing, and it turned out that, yeah, she didn't remember a darn thing. And I had the option, or at least I thought about, towards the end of the novel, returning all her memories. But then I thought, actually she likes the life she has, and I didn't think she'd be any happier if she could remember the life she had before she met Lannis, and so I just kept them lost.
Now, you write in paranormal and fantasy, gargoyles, you do comics with X-Men, so obviously a lot of your characters have deep roots in fantasy and paranormal. How much of your inspiration comes from that and make-believe, and how much of it comes from the real world?
I'm always reading science magazines, I'm always reading the newspaper, just, you never know when an idea will hit you. I love books about myth, I love fairy tales, so I just soak it all in. But at the end of the day, sometimes it really is just as simple as having that first line, or that first scene, and just sitting down and seeing what happens. Because I write by the seat of my pants. I'm attempting to become a better outliner. But for the most part, I find I have the most fun when I just sit down with a scene, an idea, and then just explore it and just follow it. And so the things that come out of my mind aren't always, sometimes I don't always intend to write about a gargoyle. When I wrote the short novella, In the Dark of Dreams, he wasn't supposed to be a gargoyle. That just happened. And, the same thing in Eddie's book, which is coming out. The heroine, I don't want to say too much about her, or I can say that she's a dragon shapeshifter. I'll say that much. But there are other aspects of her character that I did not plan and that came out in the writing of the book. So it's all very random sometimes. It just depends on whatever's floating around in my head and what rises to the surface whenever I need it. But I will say that sometimes certain locales will inspire me. West Baden, when I was writing The Wild Road, this particular spot plays quite heavily in the book, and it did. I had have to say, this location did inspire some aspect of the story. So
Cool. And I think that pretty much wraps up everything that I wanted to ask. And thank you for the interview.
You're very welcome.
And thanks for hanging out in the awesome, crazy, way too posh for me, West Baden Dome.